So MicroStrategy was just rejected from the S&P 500, but not for the reasons you think. Literally everyone has been making videos on this topic today because everybody wants to know what is going on with the price of MicroStrategy. What is going on with the price of all of these other Bitcoin treasury companies like Metaplanet and Nakamoto? But nobody has figured out the real reason for why MicroStrategy was just rejected for entering the S&P 500. Now, I even made a video on this topic yesterday, and I showed you why MicroStrategy would be rejected today. That was because at the very last minute yesterday, the NASDAQ, the $21 trillion NASDAQ came out and said, yeah, you know what? We are changing our rules. We are increasing our scrutiny on these publicly traded companies putting Bitcoin on the balance sheet to boost their stock price. I told you yesterday that this was bad news. I told you that the S&P 500 would reject MicroStrategy, but it wasn't until earlier today that a light bulb just kind of clicked for me. And all of a sudden it made sense. Why would the NASDAQ want to stop competition and stop more publicly traded companies being listed on these massive exchanges like the NASDAQ and the S&P 500? Again, MicroStrategy is already listed on the NASDAQ. This is the 100 largest companies in America. What this does is it essentially creates a moat. It gives MicroStrategy a monopoly to the publicly traded markets. And if MicroStrategy is one of the only Bitcoin treasury companies allowed to trade on the NASDAQ, and again, they're still on the NASDAQ right now, what does this create? Well, it creates a lot of centralization. It creates a honeypot. And today, MicroStrategy, they hold over 650,000 Bitcoin, and that is about 60% of all of the Bitcoin held by the 150 publicly traded companies. And today I'm going to be revealing why blocking other publicly traded companies from being listed on the NASDAQ is going to only create an even more centralized honeypot where MicroStrategy becomes the only player in town.